she was sat there and it was young man this, young man that, and what about this, and chuckle, laughing about this here and laughing about that there. And she gave me a real hard time all the way through it. And yeah, you're right, she didn't get involved in the business. But there was 2 other couples there that night. That's led to one 18% group today and one silver group today. And it's probably one of the worst plans I've ever shown. We've got to... Realize this business isn't built because you're a phenomenal speaker or fantastic at showing the plan. You've just got to show a plan. It doesn't matter if you've got to get around and read it from the book sometime. Just develop the courage to do that. And courage isn't something that some people have got more of and some people haven't got less of. It's just something, you've got to accept and do these things, if you're going to build a big business. Sure, the help's there, but if you're going to have a big organization, learn to show the plan quickly. That's something I'd recommend. And we've got couples in the business today who are very bad dyslexic. There's a guy who's a very bad dyslexic, and he's got terrible, if you don't understand, well, that's basically someone who has trouble with words and letters. And so they show the plan. They're a couple in the business, and she stands up and draws on the board, and he talks. Now, he could have said, well, there's no way I could show the plan. I'm a bad dyslexic. He could have said that, but he looked for a way around it rather than looking for the reason why not. And that's what we need to become, solution-orientated. We're going to build the business. He stands up and says, we don't normally do it like this, but because I'm a bad dyslexic, my wife is going to do the writing on the board, and I'm going to do the explanation of the business I'm going to show you. So he looked for the way around, not for the reason not to. And that's what we need to do if we're going to achieve our goals and dreams in life. Be solution-orientated to overcome challenges. Discouragement, though, is a big factor of what destroys people in this business. I've seen discouragement destroy so many times. It made me feel so small. Somebody laughing at me. Maybe a family member, a close friend who was very close to me before the business was scoffing and laughing at me. How stupid, be realistic. All this sort of stuff, apathetic, thinking you're going to achieve your goals and dreams in life. And this discouragement eats away at you. I remember reading a statement by Winston Churchill once that he said during the Second World War, during the dark days when we looked like we could well start losing the war, and he used to call it the black dog of discouragement. And when I read that, what helped me beat it was I imagined this black Labrador. Whenever I got discouraged, I imagined this black Labrador sat there wagging its tail at me. And by being able to see discouragement, that made me be able to see discouragement. By being able to see it, it helped me actually beat it. But you realise, one thing I want you to realise is people have been laughing at this business for 34 years. But has it stopped it growing? No. If anything, I believe it's helped it grow. Because one thing you need to turn discouragement round into motivation. If you can learn to turn discouragement round into motivation, you're going to have a very big organisation indeed. People were laughing at this business when they could have easily laughed at it, when it was a sort of basement operated, nothing had been achieved through the business. But today, people who laugh at this business are uninformed people who are not talking on the facts. And if someone's going to laugh at me, I'm not going to let them laugh at me unless they're prepared to research all the facts of the business and the growth around the world and what's happening with this opportunity now throughout the globe before I'll even listen to them. Because any opinion which isn't based on facts is a stupid opinion. And that might sound harsh. The trouble, though, with discouragement sometimes is it doesn't come from other people, it comes from ourselves. And something we need to learn in this business is how to talk positively to ourselves, and I'll go into that later on. But discouragement leads to denial of a goal or a dream. You start, did I really want that anyway? It was a little bit of a pipe dream. You start denying the dreams and goals which you set on starting out in the business. And Louise and myself have been there many, many times when we started denying some of our goals and dreams because the going was getting a little bit tough. And what I always managed to do was look at the alternative. And the alternative to us was to carry on doing what we were doing. Carry on, if you like, being realistic, negotiating sort of our goals and dreams in life down to suit our incomes. That was the alternative for us. To carry on being controlled. That was the alternative for us. And I always looked at the alternative, and that always managed to make me set my eyes again firmly on our goals and why we were building this business. But you do need to be careful with who you listen to in this business, because some of my biggest critics were some people who are very close friends from inside and out the family. I remember one of my closest friends was one of my biggest causes of discouragement in the business. I remember I was just showing him the plan. One of the first people I showed the plan to, someone I used to work with. He was very concerned about me and put his arm around me and walked me around the garden. He said, Nigel, well, he said, I can see how a sales executive can make that work, but come on, you're a general builder. That thing ain't going to work for you. And he was eating away again, sowing seeds of doubt in my mind. And I could have listened to that guy. Within the last year, I've seen that guy and his wife, after had their house repossessed, and moved back in with their mother and father-in-law. I came very close to listening to what he was saying, because one of my biggest things was, my biggest hang-ups was, yeah, he's right, I'm a brickie with my own small general building business. Have I got what it takes to build this thing? I almost listened to that person. You be very careful who you listen to. Basically, the way I judge it, if someone hasn't done what you're looking to do and achieve, they can't help you do it. Don't get involved in blazing rows with people. That's just the wrong way to handle discouragement. Just learn to tune out. If someone's discouraging you or putting you down, don't allow people the luxury of putting you down. Develop the ability to be able to listen to them and tune out, sort of for half an hour, go, Don't let it eat away at you. So many people fail because of that, because they let discouragement and other people put them down and steal their goals and dreams in life. Don't prejudge people. When you're going to show people a plan, so many people have come unstuck through prejudging people. A great example of that, Pat and Greta Gregory, the co-leaders of the organisation in the UK. After just starting their business, went to Stafford in the West Midlands where they had a close friend. And Pat thought, this guy's going to be brilliant at this business. Put his board and easel up, started showing him the plan. 10 minutes into it, the person said, Pat, has this got anything to do with Amway? Pat said, well, yeah, what do you know about that? He said, I've been doing it for several months now. Pat said, why didn't you show us? He said, I didn't think you'd be interested. Through not making that one phone call, that person has lost an organisation of thousands and thousands and thousands of distributors, turning over millions and millions a year, through not picking up the phone. He didn't think Pat and Greta would be interested. I must admit, I've been guilty of it myself, and it's something which eats away at me today. Someone who I recently went along and sat in when I was in a planned training meeting, my doctor was in there. And here's somebody who prejudges, someone who was too busy, so it's something we all do. But what I'd say is, for goodness sake, don't prejudge people. Sometimes you look at someone, you think they've got it all together. Maybe they're living in a nice house. They appear to have a nice lifestyle. But something that we've noticed through building our business is maybe they have. And we've noticed that people who sometimes had a big income, it often led to one thing, big borrowing power. And that big borrowing power, sometimes when the income might start dropping and the debts remain the same, sometimes those people who look to have it all together outside are hurting inside just to keep the repayments on those debts they built up when they had a big income. And that's sometimes we can judge someone based on where they might be living or where they might be living now. We don't know how long they're going to be living like that unless they start to change and earn some more income in their life. So don't prejudge people. It's the biggest mistake you'll ever make in this business. Have your sail up at all time. You never know when opportunity is going to strike you in this business. And as I said, sometimes it's just having the courage to open your mouth and to talk to somebody. And what we've learned involved in the business, what we've been taught is people tend to get involved in this business based on an emotional decision. I mean, I went through the stage where I'd be trying to logic everyone into the thing. Oh, it's back again. I'd be trying to logic everyone into this business, saying, oh, yes, this turnover around the world and blah, blah, blah. On the contact, I'd be trying to logic them into the business. Why people get involved in this business is based on an emotional decision, how it's going to help them in their life. Everyone knows there's a lot of big, successful businesses around there. Sure, later on we have to back up what we say with logic, but most people, including Louise and myself, got involved in this business based on an emotional decision. We saw a spark where we could have more control over our lives and less stress in our life, less financially stressed in our lives. That's what got us involved in this business. That was something that moved us emotionally. Sure, the logic maintained us and kept us and helped us build the business later on, but it was the emotion that got us in. Don't beat yourself up when you mess up. Everybody does. We've all walked away from a situation, I made a right pig's dinner of that. And sometimes, you can start beating yourself up for days saying, God, what an idiot I am. God, fancy saying that. What you're going to do is forget it and move on. You're all going to make a load of mess-ups in building this business. You're all going to use the wrong words from time to time. Wanting to say the right thing but with the wrong words. Sometimes that happens to everybody as they build this business. Don't worry about it. Don't let it hang you up. One thing you must never do is expect this business to happen overnight. And I remember being involved in this business. Louis and myself have been in it for about 3 or 4 months. And I was saying to Louis, well, where's the money then? You know, bro, we've been in this business 4 months now. Remember, it's a 2 to 5 year program. Not a 0 to 2 week, a 2 to 5 month, a 2 to 5 year of being consistent and persistent. And in that time, I remember I listened to a tape once by an American diamond called Coleman Orr, and something that hit me right between the eyes. A lot of you will have heard this before. Something that hit me straight between the eyes. He made a statement on that tape. Potential minus commitment equals nothing. 0. And that's what comes to... In my time in sport, how many sports people have we got in the room? A number of sports people, people who've played sport. During my time in rugby and in rowing, I've sat in on a lot of selections of teams and crews. I remember a lot of the conversations that went like this. Well, yeah, he's very gifted, but he hasn't got a lot of commitment, has he? His commitment level's very low. You know, well, this guy's a real worker. He's real committed. We'll put him in. We can rely upon him. I remember here in team selection, I remember hearing those words so many times. Yeah, very gifted, but commitment level low. And that's what you want to avoid in this business. It's no good how gifted you are if your commitment level's very low. The thing's not going to work for you. You have to develop the commitment to go with whatever talent you've got. Commitment will make up for lack of talents. You know, will make up for what you do in your lack of your talents. I think it's very important. If anything else, you develop commitment to this business, it's going to happen. If you become committed to yourself, your dreams, and this business, they will happen for you. You know, the system can make you into the person you need to be to build this business. You know, every emerald, diamond, direct, every level you see in this business, the heartening thing is they didn't get involved in this business the type of people who could already put together a massive organization. It was the system that built them into those sort of people, that helped them develop the self-confidence, helped them start talking positively to themselves rather than tearing themselves to bits with their own self-talk. You know, system helps you have your head in the solution rather than the head in the problem. Now, how many people you ever heard, well, how's it go? Oh, terrible, you know. Oh, dear, this has happened, that's happened, this happened. I remember listening to a guy on a continuing education tape a couple of times. You know, probably nobody likes somebody who's constantly dumping their problems on you, do you? Nobody likes that. Everyone's got enough situations and challenges to overcome for themselves without people dumping theirs on you all the time. You need to be the sort of person who's solution-orientated. Not your head in the problem, but the head in the solution. Always the encourager, always the uplifter. There's people who are going to come across enough discouragement outside of the business. If you're going to build a big organization, you must concentrate on people's strong points. Always encouraging them on their strong points, and their weak points will become better. Not telling them, you know, concentrating, well, you ain't very good at that. You know, concentrate on their strong points, and the things they're not very good at will come up to meet their good points. If you concentrate on their bad points, the things they were good at will get worse because they'll lose their self-confidence. And I thank goodness that the person who saw us has vision with people. Because Louise and myself 4 years ago, you know, to be honest, I was a headache you wouldn't have wanted to sponsor us. I was an absolute, you know, pain in the rear end, for want of a better word. You know, I was lucky that the people never prejudged us. You know, I remember a contact I made of a guy who I'd known since starting secondary school. I'd known this guy for 15 years. I phoned him up and went round and took him an ad pack. And when I called back, he said, "Oh, Nigel, it's Amway, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Oh, don't bother with that. It doesn't work. I did it 4 years ago." The fact of the matter is I'd known this guy for 15 years. Never bothered to contact Louise and myself. See, he obviously saw us as some sort of builder and his wife who could never do anything with this business. Didn't bother to pick up the phone. Oh, they wouldn't be able to do it. You know? And that's what sometimes happens in business. People don't have vision with people. If you could see how we've changed in our time in building this business, you wouldn't believe how we were when we started, how we put our personal growth that we've been under through developing and building the business with the system. You know, people like to follow someone who knows where they're going. People like to be on a moving train, and this business is definitely a moving train at the moment. But people will test you. People will test your commitment in your own business. People will see how much you believe in what you're doing. And then they'll see whether they want to follow you or not. You know, you need to show enthusiasm in your own way. I remember sometimes we'd be so bogged down with the little nitty-gritty problems in this business, I'd be walking around with a face as long as the A1 and expecting people to want to join me in a business. You know, what you need to do is always keep a positive outlook. Don't get bogged down. Everyone goes through those nitty-gritty little, silly little problems all the time. Some of them seem very big. Some of them are very small, which we blow up. But don't become uptight. If you could become uptight, people will look at you and think, if we get in that business, we could be as miserable as they are, look. Very important to show enthusiasm in your own. And that doesn't mean you have to jump around, jumping up and down, doing cartwheels or anything like that. You just need to show enthusiasm in your own way. One thing you mustn't do when you plug into the system, don't pick and choose the parts of the system that you like from the parts you don't like. This is something I did in the early days. If you want to be in harmony with the team who are moving this business on, you need to plug into the system 100%, which means reading every day, listening to tapes every day, keeping in touch with your upline on a regular basis, and attending every function you qualify for. I'll tell you now, every single direct, pearl, emerald, diamond person who's moving this business on, I've never met somebody who's moving it on who isn't 100% plugged into the system. And I've met a lot of people who are building the business over the last 4 years. Now, doesn't that suggest more than coincidence to you? I should imagine that would suggest more than coincidence to every single person in this room. But I remember I got in and I said, well, I don't mind the tapes and the functions. Yeah, I quite enjoy the functions, but I tell you, I hate reading. I don't think I'll read. And I remember when I I used to go to Smith's, the bookshop, buy my Rugby Post, before I got involved in the business this was. And I'd see these rack of books which were under, like I said, PMA, Positive Mental Attitude. And I remember looking at them and thinking, who reads those things? And then when I started to read the books, the first book I read, Magic of Thinking Big, was one of the first books I read, after a book called, by Ogmandino. I can't forget what it was called now. Anyway, Magic of Thinking Big was one of the first books I read. I remember going through it thinking to myself, that makes sense, and that's common sense. Oh, that makes sense. And it might have all been common sense and made sense, but guess what? We weren't doing it. And that's what I noticed about the books. A lot of it just kept reminding me of common sense a lot of the time. And that was something which is vital. Sure, there was a few revolutions in there which we weren't doing. In fact, quite a lot. But a lot of it reminded us of common sense on a regular basis. What you need to do, if you need to build this business, you need to start doing some of the things today to go direct next year. If you want to be a direct or beyond next year, you need to start putting the activities in today to do that. I hope today that Louise and myself have been able to come along here and be able to throw some things out that you're going to be able to take away and help you build your businesses. It's been an absolute privilege for us to talk to you today, and we look forward to seeing you all at Free Enterprise.